Welcome back to the Adventurous Spirit Podcast. We're your favorite full-time traveling family, bringing you your favorite full-time traveling show.
That's right. We are your coast-to-coast ghost hosts with the most. Get it? I'm Chris, and this adorable little travel partner is my wife, Noelle.
And we're back with a brand new season full of hot topics, travel tips, health hacks, and of course, adventures. This season, we're in the gateway to the West, the show me state, and home to the one and only Nellie, St. Louis.
So make sure to follow along so you can join the family. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Adventurous Spirit with one S, as well as on Facebook and YouTube at The Adventurous Spirit, so you can see all of our adventures and just how fashionable we can be.
Today's episode, and every episode you have heard on this show, is fueled by Alani Nutrition. Wellness should feel good and taste good, and that's why Alani Nu offers a range of delicious and convenient products that support your goals while bringing you bright and bold flavors to your daily routine. Today, we're talking about the decisions that led us to quit the RV life, for now, our most recent travel day where we traveled over 1,000 miles in 48 hours without our RV for one of the first times, the financial differences of RV life versus not, but first. Do you smell that?
What's that?
What's burning?
What's burning?
What's Burning, the part of the show where we discuss hot topics and burning questions. And today, we'll be talking about the top 3 pros and cons of traveling without an RV. Let's deliver the bad news first and talk about the top 3 cons of not traveling with an RV full-time. Number 1, not taking your bed with you. You're sleeping in different beds to get through long travel days at different hotels, Airbnbs, and furnished homes we find to temporarily rent.
Yeah.
Which can be very ballsy. We can gamble a lot with the type of beds that we're sleeping in from night to night.
Yeah, that could be a pro and a con because the bed that we had in our RV was not the best bed in the world. I mean, they rarely are. It was what they call an RV king, so it was a big enough bed, but it was not the most comfortable bed in the world, but it was ours. So,
that's right.
Yeah, it was a cool feeling. I remember when we first started traveling in the RV, one of the first realizations after doing a long travel day was we woke up in our bed and then we got ready, we packed up, and we drove to a new city, a new state. And after the end of the day, we got all set up and you still get to go to bed in your bed. And that's a cool feeling. I remember literally verbalizing that, going, hey, this is kind of neat, right?
Right. It was, it really was a great feeling. That's why this is definitely making it on our number 1 con list of not traveling with our RV. Because as we mentioned before, it's kind of a risk. You know, you can look at all the reviews and the pictures of different places, but you really don't know what you're going to be sleeping in from night to night. And some nights that's been a great surprise. And we've slept in some of the most comfiest beds that to date we've slept in. But then we've also had nights where it's like, even for the last 3 months when we were in Albuquerque, we had a queen size bed, which I didn't think was a deal breaker. But now I'm feeling like it kind of is.
Yeah, I like having the bigger bed. And it's, like we said, it's kind of a pro and a con. You might get a higher quality bed at the place you're at, but you don't know until you're there. You know, that's part of the deal with renting a furnished place is, whatever's there is there. And
you just got to make whatever is there work for you.
Yeah, because we definitely don't want to go buy a bed and start taking that stuff. We're trying to keep our personal belongings to the bare minimum, keep our traveling as light as possible. So we could solve that problem, but I don't know. I think it's worth the gamble.
And it's definitely testing even another layer of our adaptability, which is a huge part of the travel life that I really enjoy. The growth of it all, the challenges, even though they can feel big and insurmountable sometimes, it's just dealing with them and realizing that you have the ability to adapt and to learn from some not so fun situations. And it really does just like build character, confidence, and self-esteem, I feel like overall, even though I know we're just talking about beds here.
Yeah, but it's all about making it work.
It's more than that, okay?
Yeah, even the not so fun things like going from a king size bed to a queen size bed, it's, at the end of the day, who cares? Right.
So coming in at number 2 kind of goes hand in hand, but the fact that we're not staying in our own home every night.
Yeah, overall, yeah. You get used to the RV life of taking your home. You're literally packing up the kitchen sink with you every time you get on the road. And even though it's, there's challenges with all that, it's a little weird to not be in your own place, your own four walls every day again.
Because there's a lot of comfort in that. There's, in this travel life, in this crazy, inconsistent travel life, it's the consistency that you get to carry with you. And the comfort that you refuse to get rid of is having that same home, same space, same bed every night.
Yeah. And you're playing by somebody else's rules now. You have to be a little bit more mindful of the kids, marking up a wall or something, or, you've got some house rules that you have to follow. And for the most part, we haven't run into anything weird or any deal breakers, but you do have to keep that in mind.
Right. And, this also kind of brings up, though, what does constitute ownership, though? Because technically, even though that was our RV and we saw the same walls for 2 years, but it was never ours. We had a loan. We made a monthly payment, just like how we're paying rent now. And if one of the kids were to draw up one of the walls in the RV, we'd have to pay money to fix it and get it repaired. And same goes for here. If we, break something, then we just have to pay a fee. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. It's a pro and a con.
Yeah. And we've been parking our RV on someone else's property for the last 2 years.
Exactly.
So there's already that set of rules of everything you can and can't do. Every time we take our dog Forrest outside, 99% of the time we have to have him on a leash, and the amount of personal space you get at a typical RV park is almost nothing. You're pretty much sandwiched in between two other RVs as it is. So pros and cons to everything, right? So
yeah, these cons are kind of starting to sound like pros. Huh?
Yeah, any con can be a pro if you look at it hard enough, right?
Right. Well, and finally, our number 3 con of not traveling with an RV full time is food on travel day. Because as most of you may or may not know, a lot of full-time RVers talk about the fact that it's a big pro to be able to travel your home, but also your kitchen with you so that you can pull over on long travel days and make yourself a fresh breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it is.
From the comfort of your own kitchen.
Yeah.
But we rarely ever did that. I know a lot of people do, but most RVs are set up, at least in the fifth wheel world where we were in a fifth wheel. When our RV is all packed up, the kitchen is almost inaccessible. Inaccessible?
Inaccessible? Now you're making me
We cannot access it. Our fridge, it was part of a slide that would come all the way up to the little island. So we pretty much had to prepare our day of travel food beforehand anyways. So
yeah,
we rarely ever went into the RV. Even for the bathroom, that was still kind of an issue as well.
Yeah, instead of opening the door, pulling down the stairs and going in, we're usually already stopped at a gas station. So it's instead of unlocking our house, let's just walk a few steps and use the public restroom.
Now, if you're traveling in a Class C, which was our first RV, that's a different story because those are much more accessible. You usually can even get up while driving if you're not the driver, and you can go to the bathroom and access, which I know a lot of people do that, and I'm pretty sure it's not legal to do that, is it?
I don't know technically if that's something that you can get in trouble for.
Because I always hear about people talking about how that's a major pro for the Class Cs. You can get up and make a sandwich while you're on the road and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you can physically, but legally, I don't think you're allowed to do that stuff. It's a gray area, right?
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, the perk of being able to access your own food is very RV specific in that realm as it is. So for us, we always use our Ice Mule cooler backpack. We absolutely love it.
Great.
We've used it every travel day. We got the Jaunt, so it's large enough to be able to fit an entire day's worth of food in it and keep everything really cold and fresh, like our Alani Nutrition energy drinks and just pre-packed snacks and food that I would make the day before. You just grab the Ice Mule cooler backpack and we are set and on the road until we either need gas or need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, because it became a clear and obvious tradition that within the first 5 minutes of us,
5 seconds. What are you talking about?
the kids are already asking, what do we have? So all day long, it's all about the snacks. And with having a giant fifth wheel, pulling over is not as easy as it seems. There's almost never an option to just pull over for a second to go grab a sandwich. So
exactly.
if it's not in the cab of the truck, sorry, dude, you got to wait until we have even a chance to pull over.
Exactly. So now let's talk about the good news and the top 3 pros of not traveling with an RV. And number 1 is being able to pull over, getting gas, and having to worry about, or not have to worry about, the clearance of getting into these places.
Yeah, that's a huge pro.
Huge. That's why it's number 1.
Yeah, I mean, between our fifth wheel and our truck, we're about 60 feet long, about almost 14 feet high. So pulling over, like I said, is not an easy option. Pulling over off the side of the road is almost something we can't do. And pulling into any normal gas station along a normal road trip, we have to think about if it's even possible for us. And most of the time it's not. We can't just pull up to a normal gas pump because the actual gas station's probably not big enough, or we might not fit underneath that overhead thing that all gas stations have. So primarily we're looking for truck stops.
Stops only.
And that's the easiest way to do it because they're built for the big trucks. But then you're jumping in line to get gas with all these truckers. So a lot of time it's an extra like 30 minutes of waiting for your turn to even get to the gas pump, and you have to fill up like a trucker. So it's a little stressful.
There are some truck stops, but very few and far between, I feel like, that have the regular gas pumps for the regular size cars and SUVs, as well as the gas pumps for the truckers. And then they have a third gas pump for the RVs and the trailers.
Sometimes.
But again, that's a diamond in the freaking rough, man, when you find those.
Yeah, we rarely ever saw those. Most of the time, we have to get in line with the trucks. And there are few and far between because these trucks, big rig trucks, are designed to go, they've got huge gas tanks, so they can go 1,000 miles in between tanks. And, us with our truck, I think we were getting like maybe 300 miles to a tank.
Yeah.
But it goes fast. So yeah, we were a lot of times I hope there's a truck stop that we can go to in the next 20 minutes, or we're going to have to possibly unhook to get gas, which we've done before. And that's plan Z. Like to me, if we can avoid that at all costs, we have to. Because we had to do it a couple times.
We had to do it. And of course, we had to do it in Stockton, California.
Yeah, downtown Stockton.
Which, if you've ever been to Stockton, California, I mean, these streets, first of all, are not big. This is it's just not the place that you want to disconnect and abandon your home and everything that you own in order to drive down this street to go get gas somewhere else.
Yeah, for one, it's just not easy to do, to just unhook. It's a
process.
It's not as simple as parking and lifting the little lever up. You have to find a spot where you can fit, and a level spot where you have to take the jacks down to get the truck off. And then you have to leave your truck for even a few minutes in a shady part of town, which I don't know if you've ever been to downtown Stockton, but it's not the place you want to leave, your entire home. That was a plan Z type of day.
Because we have traveled across this entire country, back and forth, and driven through, I don't know, probably almost 40 states. We have visited and stayed in about 22, but we've driven across like 40 plus of them.
Most of them, yeah.
And we can attest to the fact that most of the time, the gas stops are small and, like you were saying, inaccessible. The truck stops really are fewer and farther between than you would think out there.
Yeah, so we got in the habit of pretty much filling up any chance we got. It's like if we have to stop if anyone has to go to the bathroom, it's like, okay, we're finding the next truck stop so we can get fuel, get food, go to the bathroom, do everything you can, because getting off the road is not as easy when you've got a huge RV behind you.
Very true. And coming in at number 2 is the maintenance, the work, and the stress of it all. Because there's a lot that goes into setting up and tearing down, and maintenance that needs to be thought about and fixed all of the time. And the fact that anything can happen to you out there on the road, and then you have to just deal with your entire existence being in the fragile hands of an interstate freeway.
Yeah, anyone who owns an RV knows that no matter what RV, no matter how much money you paid for it, no matter how top of the line it is, no matter what style it is, if it's a motorhome, a trailer, what, they are delicate flowers.
They really are.
Everything is on the brink of total destruction at all times. And yeah, it's a stress when you're full timing, when this is your house, you can't have anything major go wrong, or that literally disrupts your entire future. I mean, if we get in an accident, somebody hits us, if it's not our fault, or we hit something, like, we are kind of screwed for however long, because you can't just pop into a shop and even get your tires changed, because some places you can't fit your RV in there to have a tire change, or if your axles break, or it's a laundry list of things that can go wrong. And I think the number one realization with RV owners is not a matter of if, it's always a matter of when.
And we were fortunate enough to not have anything huge or major happen.
With 2 solid years of traveling, we had a nice RV, but it was definitely not a top of the line make or model. It's Forest River. And
it was base of the line.
Say what you want about the Arctic wolves. Luckily, we did not have any major problems other than the obvious. We had our bumper scrape a lot, and that's besides the point. I had a point to make.
We had a couple tire blowouts, I think is what we were.
We did have a couple tire blowouts, and that's a rite of passage that
it is.
Again, it's not if, it's when, and it's never going to happen when you want. The first blowout we had was on our truck, and that was
that was a freak accident. Actually,
the car in front of us in traffic in California. We were heading up to Yosemite, and somebody hit something, and something flew up and hit the truck, and I couldn't swerve to avoid it because I got this giant RV behind us, and it blew out the front tire, and somehow we were able to pull off into this median. So here we are. This has never happened to us before. I've got 4 lanes of heavy traffic to the left of us, and then we're in between that and an on-ramp. And so I've got cars on both sides of the RV whizzing past us. People are honking and everything, and I've got to change the tire on the truck for the first time. And and we have
a little rinky-dinky car jack that's like the tiniest little thing. We're trying to figure out, can we even change this tire right now? And then lo and behold,
it's not a fast process.
It's not at all. But lo and behold, a tow truck sees us and just pulls over out of the goodness of his heart. And he says, you guys need any help? And he was like, you guys are actually in a construction zone right now. So he was like,
do it for free.
Yeah, whatever you need, I can just help you and get you back on the road. And we don't have to worry about any sort of transactions or insurance or nothing. And we were like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was I wish we had that on tape fully, because that was literally, I went from so stressed and so chaotic to here, literally Superman is hopping out of this truck to be like, hey guys,
touched by a freaking angel.
I am exactly equipped to help you with this situation. And, we could have done it ourselves, but he definitely helped us. I think within 10 minutes,
we were back on the road.
The truck jacked up. The tire changed, the spare, he helped me load it up onto the truck, and we just threw it in the back, and we're back on the road again. But it was still, like I said, it's never going to happen when you want. Yeah, and we've had a couple of them. A couple of the trailer tires blow out, and that could be disastrous because, you don't want to blow out a trailer tire, because then you might cause an accident. You might lose your trailer, people.
And even with all of the preparation and the safety, because we had a pretty, a pretty good, our tire pressure monitoring system, to where we were monitoring all the pressures of our tires on the truck and the trailer. Even then, it's when you have a blowout, it's just instantly, there's no being able to save it. It's just kind of you even feel it before the tire pressure monitoring system goes, warning, warning.
Yeah, your tire's gone now.
It's thanks for letting us know. We know that we're trying to pull over right now. So even with all the bells and the whistles and the safety, I mean, you really don't know what's going to happen out there.
When it happens, it's going to suck. And you just hope that it doesn't do a lot of damage on the way out. With RVs being so delicate, they can a blown tire can shred the entire side of these things. And we got some damage from the last one we had, but luckily nothing major.
And finally, at number 3, the top 3 pro of not traveling with an RV is the travel time. Everything just goes a lot smoother, a lot quicker. The truck stops aren't eating up 30 minutes to hours of our day. And we really can cover a lot more miles in a short amount of time than we ever could towing a 43-foot trailer.
Yeah, we have our Toyota 4Runner, which
Love
is
it.
the best car we've ever owned.
It's the best car we've ever owned. This is 4Runner number 2, and
Yeah.
I think I'm going to die in this one.
Right. And we pulled everything we have in a 12-foot U-Haul trailer. And yeah, it was surprisingly smooth. It just felt better, easier to drive. And like we said, stopping is just an easier thing to do. We don't have to plan out ahead. We can stop at the next place that comes up.
You can pull over on the side of the road if you need to. I mean, it's so much easier. Everything is so convenient. Any little minor thing that we need to stop for, it's like, let's just stop for it real quick. We're in and out, 5 minutes and back on the road.
And I felt like we stopped more often, because we have less gas mileage for sure. So we're stopping more for gas, but it's way cheaper because we're not paying for diesel and we're not towing this massive 14,000 pound beast
While driving a 3,500 diesel truck.
So the cost is down and ease of getting off and back on the road. It's like no stress. Pop out, get gas, do whatever you got to do, and get back on the road.
Exactly.
It's a normal road trip, it felt like.
And yeah, it makes it more fun. If we see something exciting off the side of the road, we can stop and we can just see it instead of like, oh, well, maybe next time. Let's remember this spot.
Definitely won't fit there. Sorry, kids.
Yeah. So there you go. There's the top 3 pros and cons of not traveling with an RV.
Yeah.
So now I think the main question, though, that everyone probably has is finances.
Right.
Right? Like, what's the cost difference?
That was our big question, too, is are we going to dig ourselves into a financial hole by not taking everything with us and doing things different? Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So we don't really have a penny by penny breakdown for you, but what we can say is that overall, this lifestyle and this transition that we've come into with not having our RV and just renting out furnished places that we find is that it kind of equates out to the same. It really does just wash itself out. We've talked about this before, I think, in a few of our YouTube videos past, but the finances just shift and they just change because, as we mentioned, we had a loan on our RV, so we were making monthly payments there.
Yep.
And then we had a big car loan for the truck that we had to tow the RV.
Very expensive truck payment.
Plus, we have our RV memberships which do save us money in the long run. But when you're not utilizing your memberships, which can't happen all the time, staying in RV parks and paying for places to park really adds up and is expensive.
And it varies wildly. If you're not in a membership, like we stayed mostly in Thousand Trails, the run-of-the-mill RV park can range anywhere from $20 to $200 a night. Sometimes you don't have a choice. If you're just trying to pull over for the night, it's like, $150 for 12 hours time. It's like,
so RV life fluctuated a lot more. I would say the finances fluctuated where we were spending less amount of money than we are right now, but then we were also spending more than we are currently spending right now. So overall, it kind of averages and equates to being exactly the same. And I would say maybe on average, like maybe this type of lifestyle is costing us like $200 to maybe $400 more on a consistent basis. But again, RV life was so unpredictable that there was no way of really truly knowing what every month was going to look like financially.
Right. Like you said, just trading one bill for another. I mean, we went from expensive truck payment, expensive RV payments and all that, and then the expensive fuel to a lot less travel expenses. But now we are paying rent for the next 3 months for an entire house. But yeah, it's surprisingly, it almost equates to the same. Like you don't expect that, but it's like going from the sticks and bricks, our old mortgage, our old car payments and utility bills to RV life. Mm-hmm. Most people, we get comments all the time saying like, how it must be nice to be rich so you can afford like this, I wish I was a millionaire. And I'm like, dude, me too. But it's you have to remember, if we're trading all that for full-time RVing, it's not like we still have a $500,000 home and a $500,000 RV and this $80,000 truck. We just traded our mortgage and our old bills for this new thing. So going from that to RV life was about the same. And now going from RV travel to this seasonal travel that we're doing, it's still about the same. So it really is kind of just how you want to do it. Like what's your preference, you know?
It really attests to the fact of like, what do you want to do? How do you want to live? And you can find the answer to it all. It takes some thought. It takes some creativity. It takes shifting things drastically, but it's doable and it's possible. And sacrifices are made no matter how you roll the dice. So again, ultimately, it's finding your why behind why you do something, and you're going to find a way to get there and to make it all happen. You know, finances, thinking that you could financially afford it or not, like thinking that you can't, just blocks a wall in your mind from getting creative in order to make it happen.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no such thing as like, I can't do it or I can't afford it. You just haven't figured out how yet.
Yeah. Well, really deep dive into it. I mean, if you were to ask me like, hey, do you want to like sell the RV and just move from like house to house? I'd say that sounds crazy. How are we going to afford that? But until you dive in and really do the math and figure it out, you know, whatever your budget is, it's like, yeah, we can make that work. We can do it. We can change everything up. And, you know, it's going to cost a couple $100 a month extra. It's like, oh, that's it? Okay, then why don't we?
Yeah. And if it's going to give us more pros and more areas and decrease some stressors that we don't have to have and keep still doing what we want to do, like, of course we're going to do it.
Yeah. Because let's look at why we even decided to get out of the RV. What was the real reason why we did that? Yeah,
we were wanting to slow down because in order to keep financial costs down, we were, like we mentioned, using our RV memberships and primarily staying in Thousand Trails, but you could only stay there 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks quickly became our bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, again, when this is your everyday life, all day, every day, year after year, you know, you like to travel quickly at first, and you're traveling every few days to a couple weeks, and then 3 weeks is like, wow, I can't believe we're going to be somewhere for 3 weeks. But then that turns into like, man, only 3 weeks and we have to move again. What if we're really enjoying somewhere? What if we just don't want to get on the road in less than a month's time? So then we started finding places that we could stay at for longer durations. And I started taking longer work assignments that are about 3 months.
Yeah, you do travel nursing. So those assignments can range up to like 3 months at a time.
Right. And then finding a place to park your RV for that amount of time usually is outside of Thousand Trails. We can't use a membership for it. And it's expensive. It's like thousands of dollars a month, which is what we are just spending now in rent.
Once we started to realize that 3 months is a good amount of time to stay in one spot, like I said, traveling with the seasons, basically, that started to make more sense to us. And then 3 months of staying in one RV park in your RV, you start to think about, why are we even in an RV anymore? And if we're not packing up and going every few days, then the RV lifestyle and staying at campgrounds, it starts to get a little bit old, you know?
Yeah, you're in the same parking spot for these 3 months, and these RV campgrounds are usually kind of removed from these places that you were visiting too, which can be part of the fun, being, you know, kind of more isolated and out in the wilderness. We've stayed at some great places. Obviously, there's a time and a place, but then it makes things like groceries more difficult and, you know, again, travel time and gas and all those things just add up. So slowing down our travel was one of the big reasons why we decided to really pull the trigger on transitioning lifestyles once again. One of our strengths is realizing when and where we need to reevaluate what we're doing. And that's what happened. We thought the RV life was going to be the end all be all for us because we couldn't sit still in one place for too long. So we thought, being super mobile is genius for us. And it did. It worked for a couple years straight. It's just the season that we're in right now. We're good
good staying in a place for a few months at a time. And here we are.
I wanted to say something. I lost it. You started off by saying one of our strengths.
Being able to adapt.
Yeah. We're talking about that, how we really do quit while we're ahead. And I feel like that's really important awareness to have, because I feel like, I don't know, a lot of us just have, as humans, have this tendency to really drive something into the ground. And even when something's dead, it's like, no, we still have to do it this way, because of
you made your bed, lie in it.
Yeah, you have to lie in it. And it's like, we've just realized, end on a good note. We didn't want to drive RV life into the ground because it still could be part of our future. I mean, we do love being this mobile, and we've talked about when and if we get back into RV life, what kind of rig we would want to try traveling in this time, but
yeah,
we left RV life on a good note. We didn't have any major issues like we mentioned, and we don't want that to be part of our story.
Yeah, we didn't wait until we started to hate it.
Yeah, we were like, I'm good for now. So let's close this chapter and let's move on to the next one. And I just think that is a huge strength to have. And it's really important. Just because you're enjoying something doesn't mean you have to keep riding it until it doesn't anymore. Part ways with it when you're still going to miss it.
Yeah, and I do still miss it. Often I enjoyed every part of RV traveling.
I did
but
too.
Yeah, it's something that we take pride in, is realizing that you're not stuck in any situation. You're not stuck even in your job, in your house. Just because you signed the document saying you're going to pay for this and own it, so now you got to own it forever. It's like, if you're not happy, then change. Don't waste any time if you truly aren't happy. I mean, obviously take your time, think about it. We try not to jump off any cliffs without looking before we do. But yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people don't know about us, is that we really do our research before we jump, even though we jump quickly. And even though we'll figure out things on the way down that whoop, I didn't do all my research on this, but we do as much as we can before jumping. And then we just figure out the rest along the way.
It's a go with your gut type of approach to life, but we definitely do, as soon as any feelings start to come up, if we're on the same page about it, we don't ask too many questions, but we do definitely sit and think, and communication there. So yeah.
Yeah. And we don't let fear or finances be the detriment decision maker to everything that we do. And we can totally understand the financial thing, but I feel like there's almost too much emphasis on well, is that a smart financial decision? And it's I'm tired of making those smart financial decisions.
Don't you know RVs depreciate? And it's everything depreciates.
But I trust my gut more than I trust a money system that somebody created, that's just I feel kind of gotten out of hand. We're not, like you mentioned, super rich. We're not financially set. We're still paycheck to paycheck. We've got a lot of debt that we're paying, and we're shifting our finances, and we're getting creative, and it's making my life more enjoyable, not having to be will this make sure that we have enough saved if and when some sort of detrimental thing happened? Because I think making a smart financial decision is most of the time based out of a lot of fear. And we
have a 15-year plan, and we should stick to it. It's stop.
15 years is a long time.
You are not going to be the same person in 15 years. So don't plan on having fun after you do just a quick 30-year career in a job that I hate, in a house that I have to keep from falling apart. After that's all paid for, then we can start having fun.
Let's plan tomorrow and see how much fun we can have tomorrow, and then let's go from there.
That's the adventurous spirit.
Exactly.
Call it crazy. Sure.
Boo! We've reached the end of today's episode.
What?
But that never means the adventures do. They live on in each and every one of your hearts, and we share more of our hearts with you on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, right here on wherever you like to consume your podcasts. So make sure to follow along so you can join the family, hit those notification bells so you don't miss next week's adventure, and always to remember that adventure is out there, so go on and embrace your adventurous spirit.